Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. I don't know if keep this closed or open, maybe closed. So in this video, I want to talk about my journey to where I presently am right now. I want to thank Dr. FRANCO over in Austin, Texas, an incredibly gifted surgeon. Oh my God, well-respected doctor, surgeon, and just an artistic man who loves learning new and advanced techniques and technologies and procedures, and takes on complicated cases, because my scenario was not a walk in the park, and it was not easy. I was born with a genetic deformity called tuberous breast. I think it's anywhere from like 1 to 3% of the world's population, so it's considered an anomaly, which means it's rare, but it's not uncommon, because clearly about 3% of the world's population has this. Now, I didn't know what this was the day I was born. My parents were not told that, hey, your daughter has tuberous breast. It's not like that. We didn't find all this out until I hit puberty. It was more than not looking like my friends. It was something was really, really, really so concerning that even my mom was like, this is odd. And when we went to my doctor, it was a family pediatrician, he told us that given time, I had options of doing something about it. And the option was surgery. Now, he was not a surgeon or a professional in that world, so he told me that by the time I stopped developing, producing more of my, adult body, that I should look into getting surgery, because there are different arrays and complexities and stages and, all these things. And knowing this, that I would eventually have to have surgery, because what was going on was just, it was first of all, not only did I not feel normal because of what I saw, but I also felt so out of place because of what I got to experience. Well, all my girlfriends were, getting training bras, or some graduated immediately to bras. I couldn't do either of that. So for me, I had one of the worst levels of tuberous breast. So what's tuberous breast? Tuberous breast, you know what? I'm gonna pull that up, and because I need to if I gave you the definition of it, tuberous breast is herniated tissue. It's deformed and not fully developed breasts. And for me, I had, which one was the one that has the scar? I think I gotta see it. Hold up. I think this is the one that we. Oh, hold on. My left and my right. 1 second. So I thought. Okay. So I thought correctly. I was correct. Okay. It was this one. All right. Yes. I had to. Woo. I don't really look at them. You would think that I'd look at them all day, every day, but I don't. I'm not really a big fan of looking at the mirrors. That's a whole nother conversation video that I'll make. But I'm making this video because the last video that I made helped a few girls. I actually got connected with three girls found me on Instagram, which I applaud them, because I didn't have a way to connect my YouTube. I didn't know, and they found me on IG, and DM'd me until I saw. And I remember one girl left a comment like, hey, I DM'd you, can you look, it's about, your videos about tuberous breast. And I was like, ah, and I was able to help her and walk her through. And this is what I love about social media and the power of it, is because you can help people. Like, you literally can help people, and you don't know who is watching that is going to become so invested in the material that you're offering that they otherwise couldn't find anywhere else. And thanks to you, they were able to, and not feel alone, and do what it is that they needed that would help them. And I'm just so happy because out of the 3, like I stayed super connected with one, and I'm seeing her like live her best life and thrive. And, you know, I'm so happy for her process. It was a lot faster. You know, it got her there quicker. She didn't have as bad of a case as mine was, but you know, I'm just so thrilled that I can help. Okay. And that I can help women, because this does happen to men, but it's not commonly like something that you notice and you're like, oh, this is like, because men don't develop breasts. They have breasts, but they don't develop the same breasts as women, right? So their chest is differently developed than a woman's. And to get to mine, so this was the one that was bigger, right? It had like a Snoopy nose. Think about like a piece of clay, and like making it like a little, like not round, but like, you know, almost like a little Snoopy nose, right? Like a little Snoopy nose, and then like tying a rope around it, and then like squeezing it, like all that clay goes like around that, like that rope. Well, that made for no development from the bottom part of my boob. I had like a Snoopy's nose, and you have to imagine that like over a rope. And it was in a tuberous type herniated form. And this here was just a straight up Hershey kiss. It was like completely, like even now you could like, I mean, you can't really see it, but if I'm gonna show you, like it took all these surgeries to get to this rounded out, to get this rounded. It was so, all I had just like flatness and a nipple. It was just like a Hershey kiss. I'm not kidding you. Like think of a Hershey kiss, and it was just like nipple. That's it. And this is what I was dealing with. And the reason why I had to look was because we had to, when I went about my surgery, I waited until I was 23, because that's what my pediatrician said. You have to wait till you're fully developed. And for us, that magic number was 23. At 23, you should be as fully developed as you need to be. And then that's going to help your surgeon figure it out. Because if you do it too young and prematurely, there may still be complications, because you're still developing your body and you're still growing. So just hold off. And we waited at 23. And even though we waited at 23, the game plan, and this was a different surgeon, was to treat it as we would for a breast cancer survivor that was completely mastectomized, cut off their breast completely, and then go with expansions, which are expanders. And, you know, you put it in like it would be an implant, but it starts small, and then, you know, you have a little catheter in between the ribs, and like weekly you'd go and they would inject saline, and they would make the bag stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch. And by doing that, it's creating these pockets that otherwise aren't existing, right? And with that, you're, you know, also stretching that herniated muscle, which is you're giving it room, and you can expand them as much as you want. And then you can aspirate the saline, remove the catheter, remove that, you know, drain little funnel thing. And then voila, these expanders will stay in as implanted expanders. And you could keep them as big as you want it to be, or you can bring them down to the size that you want to. And every, it's kind of like a small, medium, large. Let's just talk about that. And we went with the large, right? And we went with the biggest one at the time. And we went really big to try to stretch everything. And then when we went back down, we didn't go as small as we could, because even when we were going small, we were still dealing with like a box type of thing. Only with a really, like, it almost exaggerated what already was happening. And of course it would, right? Because all you're basically doing is treating the area with implants that are large. Even though you did stretch things around and you created certain spaces, but it almost just exaggerated it, because now you have this implant and everything that's on it, you can just see more. It's just more noticeable. So when they removed the catheters and they removed that system and they left it as an implant, I developed accumulation and buildup of bodily fluid around the implant, because at first when my suture didn't heal correctly and my skin wasn't taking, they thought that I had developed an infection, but it wasn't. They had then said, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to go back in and just give you bigger implants. And I was like, not the option. So I found myself a second doctor. So when the second surgeon came in, because the area was left open and I kept packaging the wound with, you know, luckily I'd gone, you know, the nursing school, I was in the hospital, I knew how to like pack a wound and keep it clean, and there was no infection, he was willing to operate on me. So the second doctor, you know, removed the implant, put in a new implant, and closed me up. No reference to the first doctor, because the doctor didn't give him any real information. To our surprise, like a few weeks later, this, where the incision was made, it starts to open up and leak. And this time, you know, they culture the fluid and it's not infectious, which is why when they took me, they were like, oh, it's not an infection, but they were like, how is this happening? Why is this opening up, right? So he was like, He reached out to a network of doctors around the world. And 2 doctors came back saying this reminds me of a client that I had X amount of years ago. And in some, they learned and realized that what I was experiencing was the same thing that their client had experienced. And they told the doctor, the only way this is going to work is allowing that whole breast to just heal, because she has a weeping wound, a lymphatic weeping wound. And so the doctor was like, hey, I know this is not what you want to hear, but we're going to have to remove that implant and we're going to have to let it heal. And that wound, that weeping wound in your lymphatic system has to, you know, heal, because if we go back in with an implant and no matter the size, it's going to hit it and it's going to think there's something going on and it's going to do what it's supposed to do, and it's going to create this water buildup, and the same thing's going to happen. Your skin's not going to, it's going to open and it's going to leak, and we don't want that, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, this was at the peak of my modeling career. I was supposed to do this cover for Oye magazine, which Eva Longoria, Sofia Vergara, and all these big Latin women had been on the cover on, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, I don't want to cancel my shoot. I didn't cancel my shoot. I actually call it the year of my lucky missing boob. They had removed the implant, and I had been using chicken cutlets, you know, those silicone pasty bras, where I'd stacked it up, cut it into a shape, and stuffed my bra, right, to match, you know, what was going on. And since they had been enough manipulation underneath this area, there was now like something to play with, right? It wasn't just like this nipple, right? It was like there was space. I was able to like put the chicken cutlet there, and it was able to like, you know, it was always like it was always like a little flatter than this. Right here looks bigger because I obviously have a rounded out space, because remind you it was tight. So it was like really tight. I didn't have this part of that, and I didn't have the curvature of that, which thank you, Dr. Johnny Franco, for doing that for me, because oh my God, we'll get to that. It was straight, but I was able to like do something. So I was able to manipulate it, and I was able to do this photo shoot without no one knowing that I had any issues. And it worked. When I finally gave it like almost a year break, and then I went back to do surgery, the implant was just there, and it was incredible. Now, we had gone from over the muscle the first time to under the muscle the second time, but then there was a third time. And the third time was because I was bodybuilding. At this point, I'm bodybuilding, and I'm bench pressing weight that I have no business bench pressing, but I'm there, you know, feeding that ego, and I'm getting this crazy pump, and next thing you know, like I felt like a burn, and it was this side, and oh my God, I'm like, what the heck? And what happened was that I had a chest injury, and it capsulated the implant. And what's a capsulated implant? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put a lot of these keywords in the description box too, just so you know. So this capsulated implant, what happens is that whenever there's like an injury that's happening within the body will attack it and try to get it out and remove it, right? Well, with implants, like sometimes injury or not, your body sees like this is foreign object and creates this pocket that's like, oh, we gotta now attack it and get rid of it. And by getting rid of it, it's like breaking it down and all this other stuff. And so that's not what was happening. This had been almost like a year after the surgery, a year and a half. And now I just have this injury, but like my body's like, wait, what is this? And it's doing what it's supposed to do, and it's capsulating around this implant, and I needed surgery. So they cut the capsulated from it, and I was like, you know what, since I have insurance on these girls, let's just go ahead. And and I was collaborating with this doctor. Thank God for this angel, because I would have never been able to like be at that point where like I was really okay with myself, because for the longest I wasn't. And yeah, get a little emotional about it. And they weren't perfect, they weren't great, but they were so much better than what they were the first time, right? And I had them for a while. 10 plus years go by, and I'm looking for a doctor, and I found this doctor. And Dr. Johnny Franco, his work speaks volumes. And when you hear him speak, you can hear and see how much this man loves what he does, and how important each of his individual clients mean to him, and what their journey and what it is they want it takes precedence over anything. And I just was like, this is the guy I need to get me to the next stage of where I need to be. And when I went with him, it was like, he explained, he was like, he saw the before pictures, and he didn't see like the beginning, like the before I ever had my breast done. He just saw like the last two. And he was like, I'm impressed by what the doctor was able to do. He's like, I believe that I can take it further a notch. And, we're going to have to just let that heal. And then if there's improvement that needs to be made, like, I'm more than happy to go and do that, and get you where you need to be. And so he wasn't lying. First time around, it was like, wow, the symmetry was amazing, because I was so asymmetrical. I had one breast that was like, because of the implant had been so big and so heavy, it created the breast that I had more tissue to droop. And this is why I had to see like which breast was what. They had to do like a lift. They literally had to do a lift. And he did a lift with an internal bra. And then for this, what he did was he went with a slightly bigger implant. And he was just so, even getting my nipples correct, he was just like really, really like an artist. I remember when he was like marking me up, it was like, I felt like he was and measuring, like, I felt like I saw Picasso at work, and the staff, incredible. I can't even begin. Like, if I go there, I'm going to go on like a huge, like I'm going to get lost in just so many compliments, because the staff is amazing. Like, you feel seen, you feel understood, and you feel like appreciated, and it's just incredible. So from that time to this time, I remember telling Dr. Johnny Franco, I was like, hey, so I know I had wanted to go smaller, but now I kind of miss, like, I don't want to be big, like a what star, but I also don't want people to like be like, wait, did she get her boobs done or did she not? Because they look really good, but they look natural too. Like, I was like, I want, when people see, they can be like, wow, she got a really nice breast job, because it's evident that these beautifully perfect girls that are sitting on me are, not God sent, but sent another way by God through an incredible surgeon like Dr. Johnny Franco. And, he giggled and laughed, and he said, yeah, I'm about it. Let's do it. So the game plan was to go over the muscle and not under the muscle. It was also to go with a round implant as opposed to tear. And even the texture of the implant was different, because I think we had it textured, and this time we went with smooth. And I know that the number one question that I probably am going to get in the comments is, did it hurt? Did it hurt? Did it hurt? The first time I ever had surgery, it felt like I got hit by a bus, and I regretted it. I was like, why did I do this? And then you see, you're like, oh, I like. But then you have all these issues, and you're like, why did I do this? Well, I kid you not. even when Dr. Johnny Franco, this man has, God bless his hands, even when he first operated on me, he encouraged me to be walking up and about, you know, obviously not back at the gym and back to work, but like he encouraged me to walk and get oxygenated blood and blood flow. I was like, really? Because a lot of the doctors in the past were like, bed rest, bed rest, bed rest. And he's like, no, I want you to like get some flow in there, you know, take small light walks, you know. And I literally, this time around with the last time I was up and about touring Austin, Texas with my mom and dad and Chai. Literally, we brought Chai with me. And we brought Chai every single time, actually. And it was just, I felt no pain. And the crazy part is that as many surgeries as I've had, I thought it was 5, but it turns out to be 6. I have full sensation still in my nipples. There is sometimes like too much sensation. That is, if it's ridiculously cold out, like they kind of hurt a little because they get hard. Yeah, so no complications there. Again, God bless the doctor's hands with all this. And to be very honest with you, it was totally life-changing for me. The first time he blessed me and this last time, I honestly, I jokingly, but not jokingly, have told him, I was like, Dr. Johnny Franco, like the day I decide to have a kid, I'm coming to you and you're gonna like do my mommy makeover, because this man is not only extremely talented with his hands, but he's understanding and compassionate to others, and he's constantly educating himself, and he is literally in advanced methods and technology and information. And without that, there's a lot of things that are outdated. I've had people that I've never met that have found me on socials that I sent there that are so grateful for having met him because they've had a previous nightmare experience with another doctor, or this was their first time and it was such an amazing experience because they were freaking out by all the information that they were getting online and what people were saying on forums about, you know, different surgeries and different things, and be careful, and how like getting surgery was like the best thing that they could have done. And, you know, he doesn't just do breasts, he does a ton of other stuff. He actually did this thing with me called rib repositioning. And honestly, it's a subtle, slight change, but a little goes a long way. And as I continue to heal and get strong and work out, I can then maybe share what that looks like. Because right now there's not really much of a significance where you're gonna be like, I don't see it. I see it. I feel it in my clothes. But well, you know, and the best person to talk about that with rib repositioning would be Dr. Johnny Franco. He has vast material on that topic if you're ever interested in that. But you have to check them out. And I'm just so happy with how they sit on me, how they're symmetrical, how they are appropriate to my frame, to my size, to my liking, to what my goal was. You know, sometimes I'm like, oh, we also did an internal bra for both, so it's gonna keep them there. Originally, when I first got out of operation, they were like this, right? They were like so swollen. They were like this. And I honestly love that look. I'm not gonna lie, I do love that look. But everything settles and heals, and this is where they're gonna be. This is where they're gonna be. Do I wish they were here? Yes, but they have weight and they're gonna go down, and we're not, you know, I'm loving them. I love them. Dr. Johnny Franco is incredible. I highly recommend him. I'll have all his information below. Thank you so much for all those that watched up until the end. And yeah, I was happy to share this, and hopefully it helps whoever it helps, and your girlfriend, your wife, your fiance, your sister, somebody, your mother. You don't know. Again, 3% of the world. So you're not alone.